Good morning, third and fourth grade. Today is a rainy day, kind of gray, but this is a perfect day to curl up with a good book. So we're going to get back into the Phantom Tollbooth. We are in the middle of chapter 13, and the Sound Keeper has just released the sounds. Din got scared and he dashed off. And now they're on their way to go and rescue Rhyme and Reason. So that's where we are picking up. And Socks, stop. No, stop messing around in their desks. Come over here. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for making it here today. Really appreciate you showing up. All right, let's get started. All right. Yes, the Soundkeeper sighed. I keep forgetting that many people do like unpleasant sounds, but I suppose they are necessary, for you never really know how pleasant one was unless you knew how unpleasant it wasn't. She paused for a moment, then continued. If only Rhyme and Reason were here, I'm sure things would improve. That's why we're going to rescue them, said Milo proudly. What a long, hard journey that will be. You'll need some nourishment, she cried, handing Milo a small brown package neatly wrapped and tied with string. Now remember, they're not for eating, but for listening, because you'll often be hungry for sounds as well as food. Here are street noises at night, train whistles a long way off, dry leaves burning, busy department stores, crunching toast, creaking bed springs, and, of course, all kinds of laughter. There's a little of each, and in far-off lonely places, I think you'll be glad to have them. I'm sure we will, replied Milo gratefully. Just take this road to the sea and turn left, she told them. You'll soon be in Digitopolis. And almost before she had finished, they had said goodbye and left the valley behind them. The shoreline was peaceful and flat, and the calm sea bumped it playfully along the sandy beach. In the distance, a beautiful island covered with palm trees and flowers beckoned invitingly from the sparkling water. Nothing can possibly go wrong now, cried the humbug happily, and as soon as he said it, he leaped from the car as if stuck by a pin and sailed all the way to the little island. And we'll have plenty of time, answered Tock, who hadn't noticed that the bug was missing. And he, too, suddenly leaped into the air and disappeared. It certainly couldn't be a nicer day, agreed Milo, who was too busy looking at the road to see that the others had gone. And in a split second, he was gone also. He landed next to Tock and the terrified humbug on the tiny island, which now looked completely different. Instead of palms and flowers, there were only rocks and twisted stumps of long dead trees. It certainly didn't seem like the place they had seen from the road. Pardon me, said Milo to the first man who happened by. Can you tell me where I am? Pardon me, replied the man. Can you tell me who I am? The man was dressed in a shaggy tweed jacket and knickers with long woolen stockings and a cap that had a peak, both front and back, and he seemed as confused as can be. Here's the guy that they met. You must know who you are, said Milo impatiently. You must know where you are, he replied with equal annoyance. Oh dear, this is going to be difficult, Milo whispered to Tock. I wonder if we can help him. They conferred for a few minutes, and finally the bug looked up and said, Can you describe yourself? Yes, indeed, the man replied happily. I'm as tall as can be. And he grew straight up until all they could see of him were his socks and shoes and stockings. And I'm as short as can be. And he shrank down to the size of a pebble. And I'm as generous as can be, he said, handing each of them a large red apple. And I'm as selfish as can be, he snarled and grabbed them back again. I'm as strong as can be, he roared, lifting an enormous boulder over his head. And I'm as weak as can be, he gasped, staggering under the weight of his hat. I'm as smart as can be, he remarked in 12 different languages. And I'm as dumb as can be, he admitted, putting both feet in one shoe. I'm as graceful as can be, he hummed, balancing on one toe. And I'm as clumsy as can be, he cried, sticking his thumb in his eye. I'm as fast as can be, he announced, running around the island twice in no time at all. And I'm as slow as can be, he complained, waving goodbye to a snail. Is that any help to you? Once again, they conferred in busy whispers until all three agreed. It's really very simple, said the humbug, twirling his cane. If everything you say is true, added Tock, then, without a doubt, Milo concluded, you must be, can be. Can be. Get it? Of course, yes, of course, the man shouted. Why, I didn't think of that. I'm as happy as can be. Then he sat down quickly and put his hands in his head and sighed. But I'm also as sad as can be. Now, will you tell me where we are? Asked Tok as he looked around the desolate island. To be sure, said Canby, you're on the island of Conclusions. Make yourself at home. You're apt to be here for some time. But how did we get here? Asked Milo, who was still a bit puzzled by being there at all. You jumped, of course, explained Canby. That's the way everyone gets here. It's really quite simple. Every time you decide something without having a good reason, you jump to conclusions, whether you like it or not. It's such an easy trip to make that I've been here hundreds of times. But it's such an unpleasant-looking place, Milo remarked. Yes, that's true, admitted Canby. It does look much better from a distance. As he spoke, at least 8 or 9 more people sailed onto the island from every direction possible. Well, I'm going to jump right back, announced the humbug, who took 2 or 3 practice bends, leaped as far as he could, and landed in a heap 2 feet away. That won't do at all, scolded Canby, helping him to his feet. You can never jump away from conclusions. Getting back is not so easy. That's why we're so terribly crowded here. That was certainly the truth, for all along the bleak shore and clustered on the rocks as far as anyone could see were enormous crowds of people, all sadly looking out to sea. Is there even a boat? Asked Milo, anxious to get on with his trip. Oh, no, replied Canby, shaking his head. The only way back is to swim, and that's a very long way and very hard. I don't like to get wet, moaned the unhappy bug, and he shuddered at the thought. Neither do they, said Canby sadly. That's what keeps them here. But I wouldn't worry too much about it, for you can swim all day in the Sea of Knowledge and still come out completely dry. Most people do. But you must excuse me now. I have to greet the new arrivals. As you know, I'm as friendly as can be. Over the humbug's strenuous objections, Milo and Tok decided to swim, and protesting loudly, the bug was dragged along with them toward the sea. Canby hurried off to answer more questions, and the last thing he was heard to say was, "Pardon me, can you tell me who I am?" They swam and swam and swam for what seemed like hours, and only Tok's firm encouragement kept Milo struggling through the icy water. At last, they reached the shore, thoroughly exhausted, and except for the bug, completely soaked. That wasn't bad at all, said the humbug, straightening his tie and brushing himself off. I must visit there again. I'm sure you will, gasped Milo, but from now on, I'm going to have a very good reason before I make up my mind about anything. You can lose too much time jumping to conclusions. The car was just where they left it, and in a moment, they were on their way again as the road turned away from the sea and began its long climb into the mountains. The warm sun and billowing breezes dried them as they went. I hope we reach Digitopolis soon, said Milo, thinking of the breakfast they hadn't eaten. I wonder how far it is. And that's where we're going to stop today. All right, Sax and I are headed off to do some more schoolwork, and I hope you have a great day today. See you later.